task. Today, Francesca will briefly talk about how to capitalize on users' feedback to advocate for global users with developers. She will deep dive into how to ensure that the program is carefully built with international in mind, which strategies can enable international users to share their sentiments in a constructive way, which tools and dashboards can help us listen attentively to international users' sentiment and automatically collate feedback. It's all about engaging the global users, and I would like to welcome on stage Francesca Di Marco. Hello, Francesca. How are you?
Oh, hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for the generous introduction. I'm really happy to be here and glad to share a little bit more about sentiment analysis and what we do at Pinterest. I'm not sure if I can deep dive in a few minutes that I've been given, but I will definitely guide you through the process of building the program, how the program was built, and what are the current challenges that we're facing.
Hopefully, we will all be so intrigued that we can't wait to see you again. So I'll just say, take it away. Thank you very much, Francesca.
Thank you. So as Anne-Marie mentioned, very recently my team took over also the sentiment analysis, which means that basically we are collecting now users' feedback. So we are collecting this inbound feedback and making it into an actionable plan for our developers. So I would like to talk a little bit about how we built the program for international markets, keeping international markets in mind, and how we are trying to capitalize on international users' feedback in order to advocate for our global users with our internal developer teams. We are also, we had to make a number of choices building a program from scratch, which means why are we doing this? So justifying the task force of the effort that we've been making in building a sentiment analysis program. What are the different tools that are out there and what's the best fit for us? Who's the audience? So who are our stakeholders? How are we gonna collect data? How are we gonna make data into an actionable plan? And what are the missteps and what are the challenges? And we still have a couple that we are trying to find a solution for. The why is it's a question that's very easy to answer. Why are we building a sentiment analysis program? You might remember that the Obama administration as well used sentiment analysis to gauge public opinion to policy announcements and campaign messages ahead of 2012 presidential election, because being able to see the sentiment behind everything from a forum post to news articles means being better able to strategize and plan for the future. And so we want to know how comfortable our users around the world are with our product. Do they feel welcomed? Do they trust our ability to cater to their needs? And what happens when that feedback needs to be tracked across multiple markets? At Pinterest, we reach over 400 million monthly active users, and over 65% of our user base, lives in over 200 countries and territories. And so they are outside of the United States. So it's really exciting to think about how the products that we built here impact millions of people around the world. So you can only imagine how the huge volumes of text data that we receive every day between emails, support tickets, chats, social media conversations, surveys, articles, documents, and that is on a daily basis. And those are in 36 languages, and they're coming from 200 different territories, so with different features available and so on. So it's really hard to analyze, to understand, and also to sort through, not to mention how time-consuming and expensive this can be. So the sentiment analysis definitely helps make sense of all this unstructured content that we that we receive from international users, and we can automatically tag it. There are a lot of sentiment analysis tools and models that might focus on polarity. So the sentiment is positive, is negative, or is neutral, but also on feelings and emotions. So for example, our users are angry, are happy, or sad about a specific launch of a new feature that we put out there in the market. Or the sentiment analysis can track intentions. For example, I'm very interested, or I'm totally neglecting your new feature. And so there are different tools and different models. I'm not going to bore you with all the different strategies and tools that are out there, but just as an FYI, we're using a multilingual approach, of course, so we can detect the language in text, which gets automatically localized, which gets automatically translated, and then it goes through a language classifier, which trains our custom sentiment analysis model, which classifies text in the language of our choice. So we can basically, simply put, we go through all this massive amount of content, and we create a breakdown by language, by market, and by topic. And then we go through like a fine-grained analysis. We want to know what's the sentiment, what's the intention, and so on, what's the emotion. And of course, there are a lot of issues with our tools that need to be fine-tuned, of course. And then at the end of it, like we have basically a compendium of user sentiments coming from a huge number of markets and a huge number of users. The most ideal model is, of course, like a hybrid system that combines both like a rule-based and an automated approach to sentiment analysis. So we have all this data set. So what am I going to do with it? How am I going to consolidate a report? And especially for whom am I creating this report? Our major stakeholders are the product teams, for sure. They're interested in knowing how new features are doing and what kind of sentiment they're triggering. But also our marketing and social media, our marketing teams are specifically interested in this data set as well. They would like to know what's the sentiment that gets expressed like in the social media. And so they would like to know what kind of specific sentiments or opinions a certain, for example, GTM have triggered. And another stakeholder of ours is the brand team. So by using the sentiment analysis on social media, we can get an incredible insights into the quality of the conversation that it's happening around the brand. And then our stakeholder is also the research team. It can also be an essential part of our market research and customer service approach. They can see what people think in our own products and services, and also they can think what they think about our competitors. So when we are collecting this feedback, we're basically shaping it for the teams, for our stakeholders that are gonna consume it. And thanks to these meaningful interactions with our customers on social media and so on, we can track trends over time. We can share with the teams. We can also keep a finger on competition. And I guess you can imagine how powerful this tool can be, especially when discussing international roadmap with our stakeholders. When we know what's the sentiment of the 65% of the users that we have globally, what are their sentiments, what are their needs, their requests, it's very crucial to leverage this tool and that information when we are dealing with our stakeholders, and especially when we are sharing our say with the rest of the company, especially during planning time. So there are two major challenges with the sentiment analysis that we're still trying to fine tune on. One is, how do we split the feedback that we get into three buckets? The first bucket is a short-term report. So when my action is needed right away, this is a bug. For example, users cannot log in, and this requires immediate attention. And then I would like to have a second bucket for a medium-term action, and then a third bucket for a long-term action. For example, your app does not represent all minorities, for example. That can be a very abstract concept that needs to be translated into a number of very practical actions. So first challenge is to collect this feedback and have it split into three major buckets in terms of our actionability. And the second challenge is, in fact, how to make this report actionable. Most of the times, and this is an issue that not just our company has, but a lot of companies are dealing with, sentiment analysis can be considered as an FYI. So it's a good information to have. It's a nice set. It's a nice data set. It's a good to have. It's a nice to have, but it's not necessary. Whereas, in my opinion, the sentiment analysis needs to reach the point where it can be 100% actionable, and that really unveiled a problem that is behind that, which is the way companies are structured. So we're structured in a way where we can actually plan ahead on a number of initiatives, but the sentiment analysis actually brings up like a third-party opinion, which is our users' opinion, and sometimes we're not geared, we're not prepared to welcome that kind of opinion and create task forces across the company that can, come up with solutions. So just very briefly or not, I wanted to go through with you the process of creating a program and also dealing with a number of, challenges and issues that we encountered, and just highlight how this has been an extremely important and useful tool for us to inform our dev teams and our international strategy. I would be glad to get more questions and to answer those questions if in my capacity, but I'll give the word back to Anne-Marie, I suppose.
Thank you very much, Francesca. This is really, really, really interesting. So I hope that you can stay. We still have another 45 minutes or so for networking on this amazing remote platform. So if you can stay around, I'm sure that if you go to visit some of the tables, that people will be addressing you with their questions. Having said that, again, thank you very much. I will now encourage you all to continue the networking. This is a great opportunity to get to know the people that you might or might not bump into when you attend the LocWorld Wide 43 conference in January. And if you haven't learned how to move around on the platform, it's really, really, really easy. If you don't want to stay with the table that you are already, you just double click on another table and you join another conversation. And with that said, happy networking. Thank you again, Francesca, and see you on one of the tables. Thank you very much.